Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhakti Bhakti Naistiki. So, continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 6, we are starting today. Purusha Shukta confirmed. So, Purusha is the three Purusha, and Shukta means the prayers. So, prayers to Lord Vishnu. So that is Brahmaji will do these prayers. So now, again, so Brahmaji is still answering the questions of Narad Muni. Now he'll explain in more details. Brahma Vacha, Vacham Vanir Chetram, Chandasa Saptadhatvaha, Havya Kavyamritananam, Jiva Sarvarasasita. Lord Brahma said, the mouth of the Virat Purusha, the universal form of the Lord, is the generating center of the voice, and the controlling deity is fire. His skin and 6 other layers are the generating centers of the Vedic hymns, and his tongue is the productive center of different foodstuffs and delicacies for offering to the demigods, the forefathers, and the general mass of people. So, in the previous chapter, how it ended was Brahmaji said, last verse was, others may divide the whole planetary system into 3 divisions, namely the lower planetary systems on the legs up to the earth, and the middle planetary systems on the navel, and the upper planetary systems, Swaraloka, from the chest to the head of the Supreme Personality. So he had just started the Purusha, the Virat Roop description. Now he is going into more detail. What Krishna spoke about his Virat Rupa in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 11, was just a summary, actually, because Krishna had to finalize the whole teachings for Arjuna to start fighting, for Arjuna to get inspired to fight. But here, Brahmaji and Narad Muni, they have lots of time. So Brahmaji will go in more detail. So he's saying, the mouth of the Virat Purusha is a generating center of the voice. And one thing, again, we have to keep it in mind. This Virat Purusha, or universal form, or the Virat Rupa, is an imaginary form. It's not real. But still, it is described in so much of detail just to make us understand actually everything depends on the Lord, everything is contained within the Lord, nothing is beyond Krishna or the Virat Rupa. The Krishna's form is Virat Rupa. And this 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, in fact, every chapter of Bhagavad Gita, there's a Shruti Phal at the end, hearing the fruit of hearing that chapter with faith and devotion. So even listening to Virat Rupa with faith and devotion, that chapter, one can get liberated, although it is an imaginary form. That's the potency of Krishna. Even his imaginary form, Virat Rupa, has that potency. What to speak of Krishna himself and one who engages in service of Krishna with love and devotion? What will happen to that person? So liberation is not considered very high platform or very high result, a destination for Vaishnavas. They don't even bother about liberation. So, but but Lord Brahma now is speaking about the Virat Purusha. And so we should appreciate and understand everything is dependent and controlled and maintained by the Lord Himself. Nothing is beyond Him. The opulences of the universal form of the Lord are described herein. It is said that His mouth is a generating center of all kinds of voices, and His controlling deity is a fire demigod. So if somebody needs sweet voice, or somebody doesn't have a good voice, or sometimes we get some infection and the voice gets bad, pray to fire demigod, pray to fire deity, and he can fix that. And his skin and other 6 layers of bodily construction are the representative generating centers of the 7 kinds of Vedic hymns, like the Gayatri. Gayatri is the beginning of all Vedic mantras, and it is explained in the first volume of Srimad Bhagavatam. Since the generating centers are the different parts of the universal form of the Lord, and since the form of the Lord is transcendental to the material creation, it is to be understood that the voice, the tongue, the skin, etc., suggest that the Lord, in his transcendental form, is not without them. So if what Prabhupada is mentioning is that if the Virat Rupa, universal form, which is imaginary or material, if that has a form, so how come the transcendental Purusha or transcendental Lord, he won't have a transcendental body? How can that be Nirakar? The material voice or the energy of taking in foodstuffs is generated originally from the Lord. Such actions are but perverted reflections of the original reservoirs. The transcendental situation is not without spiritual variegatedness. So the mouth is the generating center of all kinds of voices. So what Prabhupada is saying, or the energy of taking in food stuff means the eating part. So the transcendental form also has a form. Transcendental situation has a form, and it has lots of spiritual variegatedness. Spiritual variety is there. In the spiritual world, all the perverted forms of material variegatedness are fully represented in their original spiritual identity. So everything is there in the spiritual world, and in material world, it has become perverted reflection of the originality which is there in the spiritual world. In the spiritual world, I'm sorry, the only difference is that material activities are contaminated by the 3 modes of material nature, whereas the potencies in the spiritual world are all pure because they are engaged in the unalloyed transcendental loving service of the Lord. In the spiritual world, the Lord is a sublime enjoyer of everything, and the living entities there are all engaged in his transcendental loving service without any contamination of the modes of material nature. So there, Krishna is the supreme enjoyer, and everybody is in serving him, but in transcendental loving way, not forcibly, not as a slave, or not as a paid servant. It's all out of love. But here, whatever is there in the spiritual world, in material world, it's all covered or perverted or gets contaminated by the material modes of nature. And here, it's a reflection, perverted reflection. Just like now, voice. We are talking about voice. So voice is there in the spiritual world and in the material world. We are hearing voice. In the spiritual world, everything, even the voice of everybody, is engaged in service of Krishna. They all talk about Krishna, or they talk about serving him. They just discuss how we can make him happy. That's all. And here we all talk about different subject matters, which is If they're devotees, fine, but if they're not, then it's not never at all related to Krishna. It's all about myself, how I'm better than others, or the gossiping part, or people use the voice against Krishna also. Same voice. And it comes from Krishna. The energy is Krishna's energy. So how we misuse the facilities that is given by Krishna. The activities in the spiritual world are without any of the inabilities of the material world. But there is no question of impersonal voidness on the spiritual platform, as suggested by the impersonalist. Devotional service is defined in Narad Pancharatra as follows. Sarvapadhi vinirmuktam tatparatvena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevna muktir uchyate. Means, it's quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita also. So this verse, the translation is, Bhakti or devotional service means engaging all our senses in the service of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the master of all the senses. Rishikena, Rishikesha. So he is the master of the senses. When the spirit soul renders service unto the Supreme, there are two side effects. One is freed from all material designations. In Sarva Upadhi Vinirmuktam. And Vinirmuktam means Vishisht, Vishisht means or completely Muktam, completely freed from any material designations. And Sarvapadi Vinirmuktam Tat Paratvena Nirmalam means mal means any contamination or dirtiness. Nirmala means without any contamination. Means one's senses are purified, completely purified, simply by being employed in the service of the Lord. So that is the power of bhakti. Originally, since all the senses are produced of the Lord's reservoir of senses, the sensual activities of the material world are to be purified by the process of devotional service. And thus the perfection of life can be attained simply by purifying the present position of our material activities. So this is what we have to do, just engage. Of course, in the beginning we say as much as we can in the service of Krishna. Engage our senses. In the end, or when we advance ourselves, then we don't have to ask ourselves. They normally, naturally, will not go anywhere except in the service of Krishna. And the purifying process begins from the stage of being liberated from the conception of different designations. Every living entity is engaged in some sort of service, either for the self, or for the family, or for the society, country, etc. But unfortunately, all such services are rendered due to material attachment. The attachments of the material affinity may be simply changed to the service of the Lord. And thus the treatment of being freed from the material attachment begins automatically. The process of liberation is therefore easier through devotional service than by any other methods. So the process of liberation is therefore easier. So liberation is what? Using all the senses in service of Krishna. That is liberation for devotees. So for Bhagavad Gita, it is said that one is subjected to various kinds of tribulations. One is impersonally attached. Klesho adiktaras tesham. So that's all we have to do. We have this Purusha Shukta confirmed. This chapter will describe the universal form of the Lord, but at the same time, we have to understand how these senses that we have, how they are related to the universal form, and how we can engage ourselves in service of Krishna. That's the whole idea of understanding the universal form of the Lord. Text 2. Sarvasunam cha vayoscha tannase paramayane ashvani oro sha dhinam cha grano mod pramodayo. His two nostrils are the generating centers of our breathing and of all other airs. His smelling powers generate the Ashwini Kumar demigods and all kinds of medicinal herbs, and his breathing energies produce different kinds of fragrance. So, of course, if universal form is breathing, it produces different kinds of fragrance, and the smelling power generates Ashwini Kumaras. And we can just imagine when we breathe what comes out of. Or it's only carbon dioxide that comes out. And there is no smelling power generating Ashwini Kumaras. So that's the difference between us and Krishna. Text 3. Rupanam tejasam chakshur divah suryasya chakshini karanam disham cha tirthanam shotram akasha shabdayo. His eyes are the generating centers of all kinds of forms, and they glitter and they illuminate. His eyeballs are like the sun and the heavenly planets. His ears hear from all sides and are receptacles for all the Vedas. And his sense of hearing is a generating center of the sky and of all kinds of sound. So everything is generated from the universal form of the Lord. The word Tirtha Nam is sometimes interpreted to mean the places of pilgrimage, but Srila Jiva Goswami says that it means the reception of the Vedic transcendental knowledge. The propounders of the Vedic knowledge are also known as Tirthas. So Tirthas, or it is in his ears, hear from all sides and are receptacles for the Vedas. So this is what he likes to hear. And we can very well imagine what we like to hear. Text 4. Tadgatram vastu saranam saubhagasya cha bhajanam tvagasya sparsha vayoscha sarvamedhasya chavahi. His bodily surface is a breeding ground for the active principles of everything and for all kinds of auspicious opportunities. His skin, like the moving air, is a generating center for all kinds of sense of touch and is a place for performing all kinds of sacrifice. So the air is moving agent of all the planets, and as such, the generating centers for promotion to the deserving planets of sacrifices are his bodily surface and are naturally the origin of all auspicious opportunities. So his body, like Prabhupada, his skin is saying, is a generating center of all kinds of sense of touch and is a place for performing all kinds of sacrifice. So because it gives an opportunity to move, to go to the heavenly planets. And Prabhupada gives a reason why, because air is a moving agent of all the planets. So through air one can go to the heavenly planets. Text 5. Romani udbhijjatinam yarva yagyastu sambrita kesha shmashnu shmashunnakanyasya shilalohabha vidyutam. The hairs on his body are the causes of all vegetation, particularly of those trees which are required as ingredients for sacrifice. The hairs on his head and face are reservoirs for the clouds, and his nails are the breeding ground of electricity, stone, and iron ores. Wow. The polished nails of the Lord generate electricity, and the clouds rest on the hairs of his head. One can therefore collect all sorts of necessities of life from the person of the Lord, and therefore the Vedas affirm that everything that is produced is caused by the Lord. The Lord is the supreme cause of all causes. So everything is produced by Him. Bahavolok palanam prayasha kshema karmanam. The Lord's arms are the productive fields for the great demigods and the other leaders of the living entities who protect the general mass. This important verse of Srimad Bhagavatam is corroborated and nicely explained in Bhagavad Gita 10:41-42. There are many powerful kings, leaders, learned scholars, scientists, artists, engineers, inventors, excavators, archaeologists, industrialists, politicians, economists, business magnates, and many more powerful deities or demigods like Brahma, Shiva, Indra, Chandra, Surya, Varuna, and Marut were all protecting the interests of the universal affairs of maintenance in different positions, and all of them are different powerful parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord Shri Krishna is the father of all living entities who are placed in different high and low positions according to their desires or aspirations. Some of them, as particularly mentioned above, are specifically endowed with powers by the will of the Lord. A sane person must know for certain that a living being, however powerful he may be, is neither absolute nor independent. All living beings must accept the origin of the specific power as mentioned in this verse. And if they act accordingly, then simply by discharging their respective occupation duties, they can achieve the highest perfection of life, namely eternal life, complete knowledge, and inexhaustible blessings. Means what Prabhupada is saying, that everybody is related to the Lord and he has a specific purpose, specific service towards Krishna. We just have to understand, accept the origin of a specific power. We have to just accept that service and move on. As long as the powerful men of the world do not accept the origin of their respective powers, namely the personality of Godhead, the actions of Maya, illusion, will continue to act. But this is a problem. This is what Hiranyakashipu also, never understood who is the source of his power. And when he asked Prahlad Maharaj, he was very angry that Prahlad Maharaj had so much of strength and he was standing there and answering all the questions of Hiranyakashipu. And yeah, where do you get all this power? Confidently, from the same place as you get your powers from, Vishnu. Of course, Hiranyakashipu didn't like the answer. Because demons, they don't like this answer. Demon says we are self-made men. Devotees say we are all servants of Krishna. Whatever we have is by mercy of Krishna. That's the only difference. Difference is of consciousness. The actions of Maya are such that a powerful person, misled by the illusory material energy, wrongly accepts himself as all in all and does not develop God consciousness. As such, the false sense of egoism, namely myself and mine, has become overly prominent in the world, and there is a hard struggle for existence in human society. The intelligent class of men, therefore, must admit the Lord as the ultimate source of all energies, and thus pay tribute to the Lord for his good blessings. Simply by accepting the Lord as the supreme proprietor of everything, since he is actually so, one can achieve the highest perfection of life. Simply by accepting the Krishna, you are the proprietor, you are the enjoyer, I am your servant. And one can achieve the highest perfection of life. It's not that one will be a loser if he becomes a devotee. He gets the highest perfection. And one who does not become a devotee, he doesn't get anything actually. His whole life is wasted. Whatever a person may be in the estimation of social order of things, if a person tries to reciprocate a feeling of love towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead and is satisfied with the blessings of the Lord, he will at once feel the highest peace of mind for which he is hankering life after life. Peace of mind, or in other words, the healthy state of mind, can be achieved only when the mind is situated in the transcendental, loving service of the Lord. The parts and parcels of the Lord are endowed with specific powers for rendering service unto the Lord. Just as the big business magnate's sons are empowered with specific powers of administration, the obedient son of the father never goes against the will of the father and therefore passes life very peacefully in concurrence with the head of the family, the father. Similarly, the Lord being the Father, all living beings should fully and satisfactorily discharge the duty and will of the Father as faithful sons. This very mentality will at once bring peace and prosperity to human society. Wonderful purport. But the problem is we don't understand this. We think this is mine and that is also mine, and what you have is also mine, and what my neighbor has, what my everybody has, and that is also mine, and that's where the fighting starts. So all we have to do is understand Krishna is the proprietor, controller, enjoyer of everything. And we can use everything in his service. And then Krishna says you can, of course, Krishna is not going to take it away. He's going to give it back as prasad to all of us. So we can enjoy it together, happily. But no, we don't like that. We like the animalistic way of thinking. So that's where the fighting happens, and that's when we go down. That's all. Anyway, I'll stop here. See anybody having questions or comments. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. It was nice, very nice.
Thank you, but your voice is not clear, Mata.
Can you hear me, Prabhuji, now? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Maybe you can post it on the group. It's not clear. The connection is not clear. Okay, I guess we can stop here. You all have a wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.